Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, thank you for joining me on my channel, The UK Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to make another bath soak. A couple of weeks ago I made a relaxing bath soak, the link will be in the description below. This one is more for people who are into exercise and sports, so if you're into running, cycling, skiing. I've used this myself after skiing and it's fantastic. It's to help rejuvenate tired muscles. If you come over and have a look at the ingredients, I'll show you what I've got. It's quite simple really. The main ingredient for this is salt, and I've got two types here. When I made the relaxing one before, I just used sea salt. But what I've got here, I'm going to use two. I've got some Peruvian or Himalayan pink salt here. This stuff is supposed to have quite a lot of minerals in it, a bit like Dead Sea salt, so more minerals than pure sea salt. But it's also got this really lovely pink hue to it, which is really quite nice. I've got 100 mils of that because I'm going to be using this container here, which is a 400 ml container. And the other salt that I've got is 300 mils of Epsom salts. Now, this stuff is very fine, as you can see. It's like table salt in terms of the grain. But this stuff is fantastic for tired, aching muscles. This is the salt that you want to use if you're making a soak like this that's to really help you after you've been doing some invigorating exercise. So we're going to mix those two together. We're also going to use some essential oils, and I'm going to be using three in this. I'm going to be using lavender, which is really good for helping your body relax, and it's also very good for your skin. I'm going to be using some peppermint oil, but the magic one that I'm going to be using for this is eucalyptus oil. And this oil, if you're going to use any oil on its own, eucalyptus is the one to go for one of these bath soaks, because eucalyptus oil is really good, again, a bit like Epsom salt, for helping tired and aching muscles to relax and come back to life. So that's the one that's the kind of key ingredient to this whole thing. And then the final thing we're going to do, like we did with the relaxing soak, is we don't want to put our essential oils straight onto our salt. And the reason for that is that the salt will actually make all the properties of the essential oils just disappear really quite quickly. So we need to put them onto something else that's going to hold the properties of the essential oil and make it last a bit longer in that salt soak. And you can use, I'm using white clay here, just kaolin clay, but you can use things like tapioca starch or even corn flour if you want to. None of these are going to be harmful to either your skin or the bath. And using a white clay, it's not really going to show up on the bath unless you've got a darker bath, but you can just wash it out afterwards, so it shouldn't leave any residue in the bath that's going to cause any problems. I'm going to jump straight into this because I wanted to make this video quite quick, and it is actually very simple to do. The first thing we want to do is get a bowl that we're going to mix all our ingredients in. I'm going to put my white clay into the bowl. I've used about 2 tablespoons of clay for this. You don't have to use that much, you can use more. There's no sort of magic formula for this. I just want enough to, when I put my drops of oil in, that there's enough of it to go through all the salt that I'm going to be putting in my container. And then I need to add my 3 essential oils. I'm going to pop some lavender in first. And for this I'm going to put about 20 drops in to start. Once it gets going, 18, 19, 20, there's 20 in there to start with on lavender. Oh, and just give that little stir through. It doesn't make the clay go all clumpy or anything, you can smell that. I'm going to do the same for peppermint. I'll put 20 drops of this in. Go. That's nice, 20 of that, give that a stir. And I'll do the same for eucalyptus. They say 20 to 25 drops of an essential oil is the equivalent normally of about 1 ml of oil. Now, this container holds 400 ml. Excuse me. They came out quite fast then. That's actually something to watch when you're using these essential oils, is just be careful of how quickly they come out of the container. So So about sort of 25 drops of an essential oil normally is the equivalent of about 1 ml. Now, this holds about 400 ml of product. You're normally fairly safe on a product like this to go up to 2% of the total with essential oils, which could be 8 ml of essential oils. That's actually quite a lot to put in. I'm currently on about 3 with about 20 drops of each. Smell wise, I mean, I'll probably put another 20 drops of each in, but I probably don't want to put any more than that in. Otherwise it'll be quite strong, particularly with peppermint in there. I'll drop these in. I won't subject you to all of this. When you're dropping the oils into your clay or your tapioca starch or your corn flour, try not to just drop them all in one spot. Try and sort of spread it out, otherwise you will find that you'll get a big sort of clump, which you don't want, because you don't want to have all of your essential oils in one clump in the container. So just as you're dropping them in, just move your hand around to sort of spread it out amongst the ingredients. That's about all the essential oils that I want to put in. Oh, smell wise, that's actually really very nice. It's kind of a mentholy, minty, mentholy smell. It's really quite appealing actually. Imagine if you had a cold, you could put your face in this and actually find you could breathe quite well. So now we've got our essential oils into our clay that I'm using here. I want to add my salt to this now and just stir it through. So I'm going to put my Epsom salt in first actually, and literally I'm just going to pour that in. And then stir all this through. And my salt and my clay are just going together. And that still has a really fantastic smell. And then with my pink clay, I'm just going to pour that in as well. Stir that all together. You can, if you want to, with the relaxing soap, we also put some dried flower petals in. You could do that if you wanted to with this. You don't necessarily have to for cosmetic purposes, because the pink clay actually looks quite nice, I think, mixed in there. You could go a different ratio with the salts if you want to, but because Epsom salt is the one that's really good for tired and aching muscles, I've put sort of 3/4 of the content for me is Epsom salt in there, because that's the really important one. If I was only going to use one salt for this, it's Epsom salt that I would choose for this one. And if I was only going to choose one essential oil, it's eucalyptus, again, because it's the one that's really helping those muscles relax and get back to normality. Once that's mixed together, and you don't have to mix it any more than that, we need to put this into our container. Now I'm looking at this and thinking actually there's quite a lot there. This is meant to be a 400 ml container. I'm making this for a friend actually. One of my good friends is doing a run. She's going up to Edinburgh to do a half marathon, and she's raising money for Himalayan cancer. I'm going to put a link to her, I think it's a Just Giving page, in the description below. It would be fantastic if you could go along and even just give her £1 or whatever you can afford. And actually she's doing the run at the weekend. I'm not sure when you'll be watching this video. If she's already done the run, and that's quite possible, you can still go along and give some money. It's for a really good cause, and it would help out a lot of people. So please give something if you can. If not, not a problem. But this is for her to use after her run, because I know that she's going to be sort of dying to jump in the bath and relax, so this is going to really help her get back on her feet, frankly. So I want to put this in this container. Obviously I'm not just going to tip this in because it will go everywhere, so I'm going to use a funnel to help me put this in. Again, I'm not going to subject you to sort of stand there watching me pour the whole thing in, but so I'll come back to you in a sec. So as you can see, I've got most of my salt in this container. The little trick to do with this is when you're getting near the top of your container, pop your lid on, give it a little shake and a bang down, on the counter, and you'll help settle the ingredients a bit so you can just get a little bit more in the top. I clearly want to give as much as I can to my friend, who is going to really appreciate this, I think, after her long run. I've got most of it in, I've got a little bit left. I'm actually going to use that myself in the bath, so if you're doing this to give away to somebody, this makes a really lovely gift. You've got a little bit left over for yourself to throw in the bath after you're finished. So that's what I'm going to do with that. I'll put links in the description below, as I say, to my friend's page for donations if you can do. I'll also put details of where you can get things like the container and all the ingredients. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care.